study Rabbi Ezra by Robert Browning. Robert Browning was born at Camberwell in 1812. He was educated semi-privately and inclined towards studying unusual subjects from an early age. He began writing poetry at the age of 12. In the year 1833, he travelled to Russia for a short period. Thereafter, he lived in London and got acquainted with some of the leaders of the literary and theatrical worlds. In the year 1834, he went to Italy where he felt at home. In 1835, when he visited the poetess of his liking, Elizabeth Barrett, both of them fell into a relationship which resulted into their elopement and marriage. Browning spent the rest of his life in much poetical activity along with his journeys to England, France and Italy. When his wife died in 1861, he was left alone with his son. He left Florence and went to England. Now his works also started being appreciated, and in 1882 Oxford conferred upon him the degree of DCI. He died in Italy and was buried in Westminster Abbey in 1889. Robert Browning is one of the most prominent poets of the Victorian age. Victorian age is often used to cover the whole of the 19th century. Queen Victoria came to the throne in 1837 and by her death in 1901 had come to represent the nation in a way which only Queen Elizabeth I had done in the past. In the Victorian era, a few colonial wars broke out, but they hardly disturbed the national life as a whole. The age may be described as one of peaceful activity. This also led to a revolution in commercial enterprise due to the great increase in available markets. In a period of little more than 16 years of Queen Victoria's reign, the major invention of steam power was exploited for fast railways and ships, for printing press, for industrial looms and for agricultural machinery. An efficient postal service was developed, the telephone invented and communications improved. In addition, popular education became a practical thing, resulting in a new hunger for intellectual food. Though Victorian age presented many dissimilar features, yet nearly all observers are struck by its extreme deference to the conventions, and this was abundantly reflected in literature of the age. On the other hand, there were many writers who protested against the deadening effects of the conventions. The situations of the age were affected by the new ideas in service, religion and politics. The Oxford movement was a most noteworthy advancement in religious and ethical thought. The expansion of education rapidly produced the reading public. The cheapening of printing multiplied the production of books. Novel being the most popular genre of literature of the age, it became the richest age in the history of the novel. In the Victorian age, informational influence of the writers of Germany, America, and other European countries also enriched the literature of the age. This age produced novelists who represented the age more than the poets of the age. The first important work by Browning was Pauline, which came in 1833. It was an introspective poem which he wrote under the influence of Shelley. Then came Paracelsus in 1835. It was the story of the hero's unquenchable thirst for knowledge. Then he wrote a play, Strafford, in 1837. It was produced on stage by the actor Macready. Then came Browning's most obscure work, Sordello, in 1840. His group of 8 volumes were published separately from 1841 onwards. One volume was Bells and Pomegranates in 1846. The series included 6 plays: Pippa Passes, King Victor and King Charles, The Return of the Dresses, A Blot on the Sultan, Columbus' Birthday, Luria, and A Soul's Tragedy. Essentially being a poet, Browning lacks the spirit of a dramatist. He has a subtle analysis of character, but he cannot reveal character in action. He uses the method of taking a character to talk in order to reveal not only his present thoughts and feelings, but also his past history. Dramatic lyrics consist of lyrics which, though impersonal, were really the fruit of his marriage with Elizabeth Barrett. In 1855, he produced Men and Women, with the exception of one word more. These were addressed to his wife, consisting of dramatic monologues. His famous poem, Fra Lippo Andrea del Sarto, Cleon, were written in blank verse. His really great volume, Dramatis Personae, came in 1864, which was again a collection of dramatic monologues consisting of Caliban upon Setebos, A Death in the Desert, Rabbi ben Ezra, and Abt Vogler. The Ring and the Book is the story of the murder of a young wife for beloved by her worthless husband. The first concern of Browning was human soul. He was particularly interested in abnormal people. Many of his characters are mouthpiece of his own philosophy. He was also fond of out-of-the-way historical and foreign scenes, as in Bishop orders his tomb at St. Prassix and Kinchish. Being an obscure poet, his real poetic qualities have been neglected. He was a master of various metrical forms and their rhythmic effects. Browning does not care for beauty of description for its own sake. He examines between the lines a wide range of moral scruples and problem characters and attitudes. He is the widest ranging of Victorian poets in his intellectual and cultural concerns and spent much of his life in Italy. Many of his poems have Renaissance settings which enabled Robert Browning to explore differences and continuities between Renaissance and modern worlds. The poem Rabbi ben Ezra was published in Dramatic Personae in 1864. This is the poem about Abraham ben Ezra, who was a real philosopher in the 12th century. Through the personage of Ezra, Browning sets forth his religious philosophy. He believes that the value of a person lies into his characters and not in his deeds. The poem is narrated by Rabbi ben Ezra, though there is no specific audience. This poem is another example of Browning's optimism. Rabbi motivates his audience to grow along with him as a youth shows by half of the life. The best part of life is realized in old age. Youth does not relish the deeper meaning of life because this age deals only with superficial enjoyments. Youth is replaced with wisdom and insight of age which accepts pain as a part of life, and the joy is appreciated more because of pain. Life is full of paradoxes, and this is because these paradoxes that we enjoy success after failure or joy after pain. Youth aspires to impossible greatness because of strong bodies, and this type of action makes man a brute. With the advancement of age, after enjoying the love of the flesh, some aspire for a higher plane, while the wise accept the limitations of the flesh and accept everything as a gift from God. Having different values and love, we all disagree with one another. We should not lose faith in God and accept whatever is given by Him as a gift. Disagreements and failure in achieving our goals should also be met with trust in God, as the ultimate truth is out of reach anyway. Rabbi suggests us not to be distracted by the plastic circumstance of the present moment, because failure is the gateway to success. In the end, he says that we cannot see the whole, but whatever we see is the part of a whole. Old age should approve of youth and constantly look upwards towards the heaven to come and willing to renounce the present. Browning often takes a figure from the past and uses dramatic irony to propose a conflict between the words and the meaning. Here, Rabbi's philosophy is a paradox. He believes that wise man should accept everything about life. He admires and appreciates every stage of life, though there are certain follies on every stage. With the advancement of age comes the awareness of pain and difficulty of life, and the wise man is lightened by this realization. As the time is short and the body transits from youth to old age, but the world offers so many wonderful things to enjoy and relish. The greater good of a man is to continue growing even in the afterlife. Old age becomes superior only because it recognizes the beauty of youth's desires and aspirations. Old age also brings an awareness of our limitations, so we learn to be content and welcome our death, which is not an end but a gateway to a greater sphere for our soul to grow. Hence, Rabbi embraces the paradox, that is, body and soul, youth and age, pain and joy, accepting that contradictions are the goal. Thank you.